What is Google Search Console? In this video, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what Google Search Console is and why it's the most important tool when doing SEO on your website. So Google Search Console is a free tool provided by Google that gives us the ability to track our website's performance on the Google Search Network. Now that we know a little bit about what Google Search Console is, what we'll do is we'll go into a Google Search Console account and I'll actually show you why Google Search Console is one of the most powerful tools for your website when doing SEO. So welcome to the Google Search Console dashboard. So here we can see a high-level overview of our website's progress on the Google Search Network. So here we can see our clicks performance. Here we can see any coverage issues. So any issues where any of the pages on the website. And here we can see another high-level overview of things like review snippets and our core web vitals, which is basically our page speed of the website. This is just the high-level overview dashboard where you'll be living when sifting through the data in the Google Search Console is this one here, the search results. So if we just click over there, so this is actually where we can visualize how each individual page is performing on the Google Search Network. And we can also get as granular as what search terms are the pages showing up for. So what I'll do is I'll work from top to bottom on this specific page to give you a bit of an idea of where things are, the layout of how to actually use it. So at the top here, we have some filters that we can apply. So predominantly we use the date, so we can select the date range of the data we want to be shown. So change to 12 months, we can see we have a 12-month overview now. We can also click the new and we can search per query, but I'll show you a different way in a moment how to actually search that. Per page, same thing, I'll show you another way in a second. You predominantly use this for country to basically filter the data to a specific country so you can see how it's performing in that country. And then you can choose the device and search appearance, but predominantly you'll use it for the country. So when there's no country selected, it's basically worldwide, it shows everything. So here we have 4 tiles on the top. So clicks is how many times your content was clicked on the Google Search Network. Impressions are how many times people saw your content's listing on the Google Search Network. So click-through rate is how many times people saw your listing on Google Search Network and actually clicked on it. And average position is what the average position of that listing on the Google Search Network. So what we can do is we can toggle these tiles at the top here to display different information on this graph down the bottom. So if we just click on one of the tiles, it'll populate the data in the graph and remove it. We can just click the tile again and it'll remove the data. That way you can sort of filter and get an idea of each individual one, or you can mix them all together to get a high level overview. So that's the top section where we can visually see the data. Now underneath that we have queries, pages, and that's predominantly what you're going to be using. So queries are actually what you're showing up for. So for example, if you had a page that was about lily-pilly hedges and someone typed in lily-pilly hedge into Google and your result showed up and they clicked on it, that would register here as that someone typed in lily-pilly hedge and then they clicked on that link on your listing on the Google Search Network. You can also get a view, again toggling these to actually see more data in this bottom view here. So you can see that 21,300 people searched for lily-pilly hedge, and out of those 21,000 people, 934 people clicked on this specific listing to get to that content, which averaged out to be about 4.4% and a position an average of 3.1. So as you can see, we can instantly see our performance on Google Search. So this is queries. We can also filter by pages. So if we click the pages tab, we can see we have that lily-pilly page there. So we can click on that. That'll show an average of all the search terms combined for the lily-pilly hedge. So that's all of this information up here in the graph. Again, we can toggle that away and we can track our progress of that page. One of the most important features is that we can actually see the queries that this page is showing up for. Now the way we do this is we can just click the queries tab here after clicking the page, the specific page that we wanted. Now note that that page filter has populated here, and that's what I meant about this page and the query filter. So the page, we can select the page by going to pages, which it's selected the Lily Pilly Hedge page, and we can select the query by going to queries. So what that will do is this will actually show us the performance of this page only by the people that have searched for this specific query. So as we can see, 21,000 people saw this listing based on this search term, and 934 people clicked on it. You can also see our average position and also the click-through rate. So again, I just want to go over just the pages and the query section again, because it's one of the most important features of Google Search Console. So again, if we just clear the page filter and the query filter, and we come back to our queries tab and our pages tab, we can select another page. So let's select the Mariah Hedge page. Now that we've selected the page, it has added that page as a filter, so it's only showing the data associated with that page, which we can see here. And then we can filter it down a little bit more granular. So we can go to the queries tab and we can apply another filter based on one of these specific queries, or we can just view them visually here just by the numbers. But if we did want to populate those numbers into the graph up the top here, we can just click on one of the queries. Now again, that's applied a filter based on that query and on that page. And here we can see the data associated with that query for that page. And we can toggle these views and see the performance of this page based on that search term. So that's pretty much what you'll be using this performance on search page for. These other filters, you can obviously use this as well to filter by country instead of adding the country up the top here. Devices, again, you select mobile or desktop. So how is your listing on Google Search performing on mobile over desktop? And that's pretty much what you would use this for. The other tabs don't really have much purpose based on what we've gone over so far. So what we'll do next is go into the Discover page. So Discover in Search Console is a measurement tool that tracks the progress of content that Google has deemed high value content and is promoting it in the Google feed underneath the search results. So to show you what I mean, we can type in Google Discover, and here we can see that content that I was referring to. So it's just basically Google promoting content that it thinks that that specific user would find valuable, and it selects content from across the web that it deems highly valuable. So that's what Discover is. It shows you progress of your content within the Google feed. Now, one note. So just like in the previous page, we can filter this data to get more granular. So we can search via time frame. We can have a look at see how many clicks we got, how many impressions, the average click-through rate. We can check to see what countries that content has appeared in. And yeah, that's Discover. So next what we'll have a look is coverage. So this page will actually show us what pages are showing up on the Google Search Network, any issues that we're having. So here we can see we have 2 errors on the website. We have 2 500 errors here. Again, just like the other pages, we can toggle these views on and off. If we click on the valid pages, we can see the pages that are actually on the Google Search Network. So what we can do is we can just click here on the submitted and index, and it'll give us a list of all the pages that have been submitted and indexed and are on the Google Search Network. Again, we can just filter through these pages to have a look and see what we've got on there. We can also check to see which ones have been submitted but are not indexed yet by just going back to valid, and we can just go here to index not submitted. We can check those ones out as well. We can also see the excluded pages and the reason why they've been excluded. And as with all the other pages, we can click in and get more information about those specific pages. Next, we'll have a look at sitemaps. On this page, what we can do is we can submit our website sitemap. So this is basically a list of all the URLs within the website. So when we submit that to Google, it knows what pages to crawl and index on the Google Search Network. Also show us any sitemaps that have been previously uploaded. Here we can see one sitemap that was uploaded, but it actually had some errors within that sitemap. Now, if your sitemap passed and was read by Google, what you would do is just click on this here, and this will actually show you all of the URLs that were within that sitemap. So next, what we'll take a look at is the removals page. So the removals page is basically if you needed to de-index any content on the Google Search Network, this is the page that you would use to do that. So you just click new request, put in the URL, and then be processed to be taken off the Google Search Network. Next, what we'll do is we'll take a look at the Google Web Vitals. So the core Web Vitals basically shows us our page speed of the website. So we can have a look at the performance of the website on mobile devices and also on desktop devices. Now, just like all the other pages, we can get granular with this data by just clicking on Open Report. And we can see we've got the little cards here again that we can toggle on and off. We can see we have 0 poor, 0 need improvement, and we have 53 good. And we can click on the corresponding tab here, and that'll show us all of the URLs that have good mobile page speeds, which we can see here on the right hand side, and it gives us that aggregated values based on those page speed metrics. Next, what we'll look at is the mobile usability page. So this basically just shows us if there's any issues with our website loading on mobile devices. So things like the text is too small to read, content is wider than the screen, or the viewport is not set. Those issues would show up here, and as usual, we can just click on that and that'll populate the data within this dashboard. Next, we'll look at the breadcrumbs tab. So breadcrumbs is basically allows the user to know how many links they are away from the home page. A typical user would never use this. It's predominantly more for the search engines. So we won't go too far into this tab here. Next, we're going to review snippets. So this is basically showing us how many review snippets we have. So review snippets are basically a form of code called schema markup, which just allows website owners to put their reviews in an easily digestible format for search engines so they can index it correctly and efficiently. So next we'll have a look at unparsable structured data. So again, this is just another form of code allows search engines to understand what the page is about in an easily and digestible format. Again, we won't go too far into this, it won't be really necessary. Usually the only reason why you would use this page is just to see if you had any errors with that structured data. Next, we will have a look at the videos. So same thing again, the videos page is basically just another form of structured data, and it will just show you any errors that you have with that structured data for those videos. Again, I wouldn't worry about this if you're new to Google Search Console just yet. So next, we'll have a look at security and manual actions. Manual actions is basically, have you been penalized by Google and their manual penalty team? And security issues are, have you got malware on your website? So legacy tools and reports. Here we can have a look at the international targeting, so you can set what country you actually want to target. So this one, it's already associated with Australia for myself. Messages is basically your messages from the Google Search Console team. And the other ones I would not worry about. So links is basically showing you all the backlinks pointing to your website. Like all the other pages, we can click into each link and we can get some information about that. I wouldn't worry about this if you're a beginner in Google Search Console. So the last one is settings. So if we click into settings, it'll bring us to the settings tab. Now that we can see our ownership verification, any users that we give permission to. So say we hired an SEO consultant, we can give them permission to access our Google Search Console data so that we don't actually have to give our password out to someone. we can just provide them access to that data based on their email address, and they can set up an account to associate that information with that account. Change of address. If you change your website address, you can tell Google Search Console that you have done so. And then also crawl stats. So if we open up the report on crawl stats, this will actually show Google's robots actually crawling our website and how long it's actually taking to download that data off that website. So here we can see the total crawl requests. And if we click the average response time, we can see the average response time of how long it took to download that data. It can also show us the status code of pages on the website. So whether it was 200, which is okay, 404, the page is missing, or we can have the 301 redirects. So that page is moved somewhere else and you're pointing that link to somewhere else, and a lot of other metrics, but they're the main ones. So that's what Google Search Console is and the basics of what you actually need to know to be able to use Google Search Console. So if you're not actually sure if you have Google Search Console connected to your website, check out our video on how to actually check if you have Google Search Console on your website, which will be here. If you're not actually sure on how to connect Google Search Console to your website, don't forget to check out our video on how to set up Google Search Console, and I'll leave a video link here. I hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget, click the thumbs up if you found this valuable. And if you'd like to get more content around search engine optimization, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.